welcome to Burning the Edge. We would like to welcome to the T our host, Mr. Arthur Miller Jr.
We aim to keep it good.
Thank you for joining us here on the Burning the Edge Golf Podcast. We're here on location at Golf the Yard in Arlington, Tennessee. First, I want to give a shout out to also Mr. Powell, him and his dad, man, they own this golf simulator. Check them out, golftheyard.com. I'm so excited, man. We're about to kick off our new season on the APT Tour. And who better to have here than the new Memphis chapter owner, the new Memphis Mid-South chapter owner of the APT, Russell Cook. We in this lovely golf simulator. I know you got the hole on the screen, but we ain't gonna worry about that.
You know what?
Somebody been beating it up here.
Somebody's hitting a low bullet right there in the spot.
Hey, I came in here. I usually come at least once a week. And I came in here one day and I was like, dang, somebody just did pulverize.
This is my first time seeing this facility. I've played on simulators and I've seen simulator rooms.
Yeah.
I love how they have the wall art here with the golf courses in the background.
Yeah.
Typically the ones I have are just a mat against a wall with a projector.
Yeah.
But this looks really nice.
Yeah.
And you know, it's nice to know this is here.
Russell here, man. Tell me, how did you get to the game of golf, man?
So golf, I've actually got one of the funnier how I learned to play golf stories. You know, most everybody I know that plays golf started because their dad played or a grandfather played, and it's something they grew up with. So my dad played his whole life until I was born, and he was a scratch golfer, very competitive. He got into his weekly, gambling games at the local golf course down in Monroe, Louisiana. And when he met my mom, she was like, "Hold up." She goes, I'm not marrying somebody that's gambling this much on a sporting event.
Yeah.
And so he said, okay, well, I love you and I want to marry you and have kids. So he sold his golf clubs. He just walked away from the game.
Wow.
And so when I was 9 years old, I was in my backyard. I was a baseball and football player. And so I was in my backyard at 9 years old hitting tennis balls into my neighbor's backyard. And I hit a couple home runs over the fence, and I ran next door through the back gate, and I said, "Hey, Mr. David, I'm just getting my tennis balls," and I noticed he had a garage sale going. And so I walk out there, and he's got this 1950s set of old Persimmon golf clubs in a golf bag that looked like if you breathed on it, it was going to crumble. It was so old. And so I said, "Are you selling those?" And he goes, "I tell you what, Russell, if you want those, you can have them. Go play with them." So I took the golf clubs back next door and started hitting tennis balls with them. And so the first time I ever swung a golf club was 9 years old, with a 7-iron that was about that tall.
Right.
Because, the clubs back in the 50s and 60s were so thin.
Right.
And I was hitting tennis balls with a 7-iron that was about the size of a hybrid nowadays.
Yeah.
And so my dad came out and he was like, "Where did you get those golf clubs?" And so I told him, I said, "Mr. David gave them to me." And so my dad went over. Of course, my dad being the kind of guy he was, he went over and gave Mr. David money to purchase those clubs. He would not let me have them.
Yeah.
And so, but about a year later or so, my dad realized that I spent a lot of time in the backyard. He went and bought the little plastic golf balls that I could hit in the yard. And he saw how much time I was spending out there doing that. So he took me to the municipal course in Jackson, Mississippi, where I grew up. And he and I played out of the same golf bag the first time I ever played golf. And he was trying to teach me the rules and how to play the game. I think I shot like 120. Which for a 10-year-old that's never played before, I was playing from the ladies' teams. And my dad was like, you may be fairly decent at this.
Yeah.
And so just over the years, I began to grow and love the game. And my dad always watched the Sunday round of every PGA event on TV.
Yeah.
And he would flip back and forth between NASCAR and golf every Sunday. And so I grew up watching both of those. And then to go out and play the game, it was something I fell in love with at 9 or 10 years old. And so from there, it just progressed to the point where I joined the high school golf team, made it on my high school golf team, and played for 2 state championships as what we would call our number 3 player. And so that would be like on our APT, that would be like our Division 3 guys.
Yeah.
And then just I got to the point where I was getting better, and then I went to college and thought, well, golf's just a beer drinking festival. And so I quit playing as much.
Yeah.
And then once I got out of college and I went into teaching and coaching for several years, and I ended up coaching high school golf.
Okay.
And then I picked the game back up pretty seriously around probably 27, 28 years old. And so for the last 10 years, I've really kind of made it my passion.
Yeah.
I've
So you
always-
more than 37 though, right?
Pardon me?
Are you 37?
I'm 38.
Are you really?
I'll be 39 later this year.
Really? You
Yes.
act like an old soul, though.
I
man.
do
You
have like
have
an old soul. And
soul.
that is something people tell me all the
Yeah.
time. I look younger than I am.
Yeah.
But I act a lot older than I am.
Man, ain't no way I'd
Yeah,
get that wrong.
I'll be 39 later this year.
Really?
I will, and so I'm knocking on the door of the 4-0.
Yeah.
But you know, the last 10 years or so, I still feel young enough that I
Right.
have that competitive drive to do something competitive.
Right.
I tried out softball, and my wife, bless her heart, my wife looked at me and she said, no. She goes, you're not leaving home for 4 days every single weekend to go play softball.
Yeah.
And so I was like, well, I can play golf and just play 1 day a weekend.
Yeah.
And so I found our old competition tour, the Golf Week tour. I found it about 8 years ago. And since then, I have become basically addicted to playing competitive stroke play, amateur level golf.
Yeah.
And then, of course, you know, I met you through the Golf Week and through the last few years. And then, of course, with our transition to the Amateur Players Tour, it's something I've just kind of stuck with and stayed with. And now that's where I get my competitive itch.
Right.
You know, get that scratched
Right.
and feel good about being able to compete without having to go out and play, you know, 7-on-7 flag football or travel softball where I really injure myself.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. So how did you? Cause man, you pretty good. Cause you won Pinehurst last year.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at this. I'm standing there and I'm trying to time my flight. Cause I got to drive all the way back to Raleigh to catch my flight.
yeah, I flew out of Raleigh as well.
Yeah, so I'm like, okay, I'm trying to time it right. And I'm like, I want to catch Russell coming in.
Yeah.
And I didn't get a chance to go and see some of the. It ended up in a playoff, right?
It ended up in a 2-hole.
Yeah, I didn't get to go to the playoffs, but I saw you finish on 18.
Yeah, I
one.
can tell that story in a minute if you want me to.
Yeah.
Because that may be the most nervous I've ever been in my life.
Really?
But, you know, like I said, I joined the Golf Week Tour about 8 years ago and played it for several years. And then, of course, when APT came about, I made the move over there because I bought into the vision and the foresight that these guys have, that Matt and Jody have with our national office to grow this tour as the biggest amateur golf tour in America.
Right.
But
in North America.
in North America,
Yeah.
we do have locations in Canada
Right.
now that are getting their golf season. They're actually they've got schedules set this year.
Really?
So they're actually,
That's good.
Our Canadian chapters are actually able to start playing this year.
That's
And
great.
they just announced 2 weeks ago that we've got a Canadian chapter that will also cross-reference with one of our Northwest New York chapters.
Yeah.
It's going to be the Niagara Falls chapter.
Oh, okay, cool.
so
So,
they'll
it's
play
like
on
Buffalo.
It's Buffalo and
Yeah.
right across into Canada from there, which
Yeah.
I'm not very good with geography.
Yeah, yeah.
Whichever major city, I can't remember if it's Ottawa or Ontario. Somewhere like
Yeah.
that, right across from Niagara Falls.
Yeah.
They're going to do a joint chapter together where
Cool.
they play both across the border.
So Russell, tell me, what is your favorite course that you've ever played?
Oh wow. So believe it or not, as much golf as I play, I haven't played broad spectrum around the country golf. You know, this weekend was the first time I'd ever played golf in the state of Georgia.
Really? Okay.
January, when I went to Orlando for the Amateur Players Tour Tournament of Champions in floorball, it's the first time I'd ever played golf in the state of Florida.
Really?
But I have been fortunate the last year and a half with the Amateur Players Tour to travel and play some courses that I would otherwise never have gotten to play.
Absolutely.
But there's one course, if you ask me, my personal favorite course that I've ever played, and I'm saying this as someone that won a major tournament at Pinehurst No. 2 in history. My favorite golf course I've ever stepped foot on would be Buffalo Ridge in Branson, Missouri.
Really?
And we actually have a tournament there this summer.
I'm there.
I'm not making a shameless plug for that. My wife and I had taken a weekend trip for 4 or 5 days, and she let me take my golf clubs.
Yeah.
And so I booked Buffalo Ridge and fell in love with it.
Yeah.
It's Zoysia fairways, it's bent grass greens. They are in fantastic shape, but the elevation change in the Ozark Mountains.
Yeah.
You've got holes where you're hitting straight up a hill, and then you've got par fours where you're hitting down a hill that you can drive the green.
Yeah.
And so it's a great topography of a golf course with the undulation, the creeks and rivers, and the mountains around it. So I'm pretty excited about going back 4th of July this year because we get that on Saturday.
Right.
But then we get Tiger's new course, Paynes Valley, on Sunday.
Yeah.
And so when I was there 4 years ago playing Buffalo Ridge for the first time, they were clearing the mountainside off for Paynes Valley.
Right.
And I was thinking, man, they're doing a lot of work on the side of this mountain. from standing on 17's fairway at Buffalo Ridge, you can see Paynes Valley on the side of the mountain.
Okay.
And I saw 9 dump trucks lined up around the mountain. And so when we finished playing, I went in and I asked the guy in the pro shop, I said, what are all those dump trucks on the mountains? And he goes, oh, that's Tiger's new course, Paynes Valley. Well, 2 years ago, we see the match on the Golf Channel with Tiger and I think it was Justin Rose and Jordan Spieth.
Yeah.
Nicholas and I think Gary Player were there. There were about 6 big name guys there, and they played that course as the grand opening.
Right.
Well, on the Amateur Players Tour this year, we get our Independence Day Open at Buffalo Ridge and Paynes Valley on a Saturday, Sunday, and I couldn't be more excited to go on that trip.
I know. I can't wait for it, man. I mean, you look at the schedule, I don't see how. Now, I played on the Golf Week Tour, but I'm telling you, I have never been so, and I'm fairly new to golf. I only been playing golf about 8 years or so. And to see the courses that you see on TV, we played at TPC San Antonio. I played there last year.
I did too.
It was great to see that.
And the APT's there next week.
Exactly. So I mean,
APT's going back to San Antonio. They welcomed us back 2 years in a row.
Exactly.
Last year at San Antonio, we played that 3 weeks before the Valero Texas Open.
Yeah.
This year we're playing it 2 weeks before it. So we're getting a week closer to a prime PGA event.
That is crazy, man.
One after another on this schedule, you have one after another. There's a PGA Tour course that you've seen on TV. One after another, you see where there's a top 100 ranked in this country that we're playing. It's just and tell me what are you most excited about for this upcoming season on your inaugural year of being the Memphis Mid-South?
So the easy answer to that is when you look at our Memphis schedule, the easy answer to what am I most excited about is we've got TPC Southwind on our schedule. And you knew I was going there with that answer. Yeah. That's why I prefaced that with that's the easy answer. Yeah. So I was able to, and just to give our listeners and our watchers a little what I call inside baseball, some behind the scenes details on this. I asked Matt and Jody, our national owners, when they landed Pinehurst last year, I asked them, while I was at Pinehurst, I said, hey, knowing that I was taking over this chapter this year, I said, I want to know your secret. How do you get courses like this? And Jody Barrett looked at me and he goes, I picked up the phone and called and I wasn't scared to be told no. So when I officially took over as the new tour director and owner of the Memphis Mid-South chapter, the very first phone call I made was to TPC Southwind. I called, and it took me 3 days to get somebody to sit down and talk to me. And I got somebody to talk to me and told them who we were, what we were doing, and what we were wanting to do. Yeah. And I was fully prepared for no.
Right.
I knew the minute I called, I'm doing this just so I can sit back at the end of the night and say, I tried to get Southwind.
Right.
They told me on the phone when I talked to them that, yes, we would love to have y'all, but I can only have a Monday. Fine by me.
Right.
I'll take a Monday for a PGA course.
Right.
And so David Prezzotti, the director of their Monday golf outings, is who I dealt with, and he has been absolutely fantastic to work with. He and I talked, and he goes, look, I've got 4 Mondays left for next year that I can give you. And I'm thinking, only 4? And it's November.
Right.
It's November.
Right.
He goes, I've only got 4 Mondays left. And I said, well, what are those Mondays? And he said, I can give you 3 straight Mondays in April, or I can give you Monday, July the 11th. And I said, well, my opinion is it's a no-brainer to take the July 11th, 4 weeks before the PGA plays Southwind.
Right.
And for anyone that doesn't know, 2 years ago, TPC Southwind, the FedEx St. Jude Classic, became a WGC event, a World Golf Championship event, where only the top 60 in the world get invited.
Right.
This is the last year, and I'm not even sure if you know this, this is the last year that Southwind will be a WGC event.
Yeah, I heard they're
changing it because now they want the FedEx St. Jude Invitational to be the first FedEx Cup playoff event.
So now, I didn't know that.
Starting this year, it's the last year as a WGC event, but it's also the first year as the first playoff event. So the FedEx Cup plays 3 playoff events before their tour finals.
Right.
Memphis will now be the first stop on that playoff.
Wow.
So now
that is big.
They are only inviting the top 125 players in the world golf ranking, in the point standings.
FedEx points, yeah.
So you expand the field a little bit past the WGC, but you also entice the top 5 in the world
Yeah.
and play it.
Yeah.
So that's the easy answer, is us being able to land that course 3 weeks before the first playoff event on the FedEx Cup.
Right.
I passed on the April dates because they're redoing some of their fairways. And so we could take a date in April, but we would only get to play 15 holes.
Yeah.
And I can't justify doing that to our members.
Yeah.
I can't put them on a 15-hole golf course, no matter where it is.
Right. Right.
So that's the easy answer, is I'm most excited about that event on our schedule.
Yeah.
But the true, in my heart answer to that is I'm most excited about sitting at the first tee, watching all of our members come in, and I'll explain the rules to them. I'll announce our guys on the first tee, and seeing our guys go out and compete and trying to put on the best event I possibly can for our members.
Right.
That is probably the truest, most honest answer.
Right. Right.
But the easy answer would be, we've got TPC Southwind on our schedule.
Right.
So
right before, that's
right before a big event.
I'm trying to remember
And,
what
and
was
not
the,
only that, we're playing it on Monday, July the 11th. The TPC Southwind Men's Club Championship is that Saturday, Sunday before we play it. So we're playing it right after their club championship and right before the pros play.
Yeah, so it's gonna be in pristine condition. You know,
Absolutely.
I'm excited about that.
I've played Southwind before when it was right after the tour was done. It's a beast. You got to deal with the rough is high. You have to deal with the rolling fast greens. So it's a beast over there.
Now here's the good thing, is we will adjust our tee boxes to our caliber of players.
Right.
I can promise you right now, anybody watching this, if you're a Division I player, you will not play from the PGA tee boxes.
I hope not.
I've done it 5 times and I don't want to do it again. Especially that time of year when the screens are that fast.
Right, and the
rough is grown up. The fairways are especially these new fairways they've put in.
Yeah.
The Zion Georgia they're putting in. The ball's going to sit up on those fairways like it's on a tee.
Yeah.
They're going to be. I've already played. When I played it about 3 weeks ago, they had already completed 3 fairways, and you would have thought that I put a tee under my ball in the middle of the fairway. It was so perfect.
Yeah.
And that's February golf.
That's a nice course, though, man.
It's gonna be great.
It's going to be a beast.
Look, we've got Windike Country Club, the East Course at Windike, right across the street, that hosted the Monday qualifier for the St. Jude for 25 years.
Yeah.
In August, we've got Colonial Country Club again, the South Course at Colonial that hosted the Danny Thomas Invitational before it became the FedEx St. Jude. We had that course this past year. We've got it back later this year.
Yeah.
So that's 3 courses locally here, just locally that you can play that you would normally not be able to play unless you're a member or unless you know somebody that's a member there.
Well, and then we've got our 2-day in Oxford, Mississippi, where we're doing our Sunday, Monday 2-day major at the Ole Miss Golf Course, which is public.
Yeah.
But then Monday morning we play our second round at the Country Club of Oxford, which is private. So that's
beast.
That's 4. It is a beast. I play there 4 days a week, and it still gets the best of me. But that's 4 private courses that we've put on our schedule this year that our members, unless they're a member or know a member, would not be able to have access to.
Yeah.
And just a shout out to TPC Southwind again, and I don't want to keep harping on that course, but they have actually worked with us, and it's listed on our website under our tournament information page. TPC Southwind has agreed to let our players have practice rounds the 2 weeks leading up to our tournament.
Wow.
They're charging their regular guest fee,
Yeah.
but they're allowing our APT members to schedule tee times on 5 certain days. So 2 weeks before the event, there's a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday that we can get tee times. And then the week leading up to the event, there's a Wednesday, Thursday that our guys can call. But they're going to allow our players on our tour that are registered for the event.
Yeah.
You have to be signed up for that event to get a practice round. But if you're signed up for the event, you will be allowed to have any one of those 5 days to get a practice round in to see the course. And that's unheard of from a private course to allow, especially a private course of that much prestige, to allow non-members to play without a member.
Yeah.
And so they have been exceptional to work with.
How many members are we looking at so far that have signed up?
On that.
Right now, as of today, I actually checked it right before I came in here to talk with you. We have 75 members on our tour.
Yeah.
Which puts us about 15 to 20 members ahead of the pace we were on at this point last year.
Yeah.
So we're showing some really good growth. There's still a good number of guys that were members of our tour that just haven't signed up yet.
Yeah.
A lot of these guys wait till they see the weather stabilize and we get better weekends so that we don't run into cold or rain.
Yeah.
And so I know those guys are coming back. I've spoken to most all of them. So we're looking right now. Last year, I want to say we had 92 members at the end of the year. And so, my goal this year is that we get to that 125 mark here pretty soon.
Yeah.
And hopefully by the end of the season, Memphis is looking at, 150 members on our team. Perfect example about the growth we're seeing. Our first tournament is coming up this weekend at Wedgwood and Olive Branch, March the 5th. I was able to get 16 tee times on the course that day, which allows us to have 16 foursomes, which is 64 players. Right. And that tournament sold out Friday afternoon.
That is awesome.
We have a waiting list for our first event this year. So at that
awesome.
rate, we've got 75 members and 64 people playing our first event.
Yeah.
So for anybody out there that's thinking about joining the tour, now's the time to do it.
It is.
Pick the events you want to come to and make sure you get registered before the deadline, because we could have a situation this year where a lot of events sell out.
Right.
And we do a waiting list because there are issues where guys have to back out at the last minute, so we can pull from a waiting list. But if you want to make sure, especially some of these bigger events, your Windykes, your TPC Southwind, Country Club of Oxford, and the Ole Miss course, the 2-day major, for a lot of those events, we need to get guys signed up early to make sure we don't sell out before you get your spot.
Yeah. And I am so excited that we got the Ole Miss golf course back, man. I just love that course.
Glad to have that one back.
Oh my goodness, I'm so excited that we got it back.
I've played that course for 20 years, and it's different every time you play it based on the wind and where the pins are cut. Yeah. It's fairly flat and wide open. Yeah. You can't get into a whole lot of trouble. Right. But where they get you are the smaller greens that are always very, very fast. Right. And so
that's a nice course, though.
It is a fun course. Yeah. And then you go the next day to the Country Club of Oxford for the second part of that 2-day major, and you have a lot of undulation, a lot of elevation changes, several blind tee shots. Yeah. You get a lot more length at the Country Club.
Man, I have to really say, man, you are a super husband, man, because I just, I don't know about my wife telling me when I can. Did she allow me to bring my golf club?
Yeah. And God love her. And so I still had all of this going on. Yeah. And I started my own business 4 years ago. Yeah. And so it was I had 3 years to get my business going when she took this job back home. And so it's been, from a family standpoint, it's been great because, and you'll see her out on tour with us this year.
Okay, cool.
She has told me there will be, she has now seen my passion for doing this and my passion for taking over this tour. Yeah. That she told me, she said, look, I'm gonna hire a babysitter or get one of our parents to come down, my mom or her parents, to come to town to keep our kids so that she can come for 3 or 4 of our tournaments and help me run the first tee and help you and I run the first tee, and then kind of free me up to where I can go and play a couple of events myself. Right. So she's gonna come hang out with us, just like Bart and June did. Yeah. June was always with Bart. Now, I love June to death. Yeah. I couldn't pay. There's not enough money in the world to pay my wife to do what June did for this tour. Right. Being there every Saturday for every tournament all day and giving up her day. I could never thank her enough. June has even offered to help us a couple times this year. Really? She said, look, I'm not doing it every week. But she said once or twice, if you want me to come help out so you can play, I'll be more than happy to. And I've told Bart he'll never know how much I appreciate the support that both of them have given.
June was a trooper, man. Shout out to Bart and June, man. Bart put in a lot of time and effort, and June was right there with him, man. I don't know that my wife would have done it. Let me just
Saturday, and she was right there with him. And I know she's going to be glad to be able to come to a tournament and just be Bart's wife instead of Bart's associate to help run the event. So, but my wife will be there some. Everybody will get to meet my wife and see her a few times. So that's going to be great. She's going to take off and come to the Southwind event. She wants to see how that goes.
Oh, yeah.
Matt and Jody from the national chapter are both coming to that event. Oh, yeah. We've got 4 other chapter owners from around the country that have signed up to come play. For Southwind, we got a chapter owner from Utah that's coming. Really? We've got a chapter owner from West Virginia coming.
Is L Boogie gonna be there? That's my dude, man. L Boogie. I call him L Boogie. Larry from
Larry Burrow. Larry's coming to Southwind.
Cool.
He's already on there.
Good.
And so, I put 2 of Larry's events on our schedule. Yeah. He's got Mystic Creek March 19th in El Dorado.
Yeah, I'm there.
I went over about a month ago and played it with him. I want to go back and play that thing this summer. You asked me my favorite course, and I told you Buffalo Ridge. if I ever play El Dorado, Mystic Creek and El Dorado during the summer, it may take over as number one on my list.
Really?
It was absolutely gorgeous.
Really?
It is in the middle of nowhere. It's modeled after Augusta National.
Yeah.
Big rolling fairways, and everything is dense tree lined. Wow. So you don't see, like if you're on a par 4, you don't see the holes around it because of the trees.
Yeah.
And so there's 3 or 4 holes that you'll stand on the tee box and go, wow, this looks like what I saw on TV in Augusta. They modeled it when you pull into the entrance. It's a long drive entrance, and there's a sign out front that says Mystic Creek, El Dorado, Arkansas. Yeah. And as you're driving down the road, you come to the roundabout in front of the pro shop, and it's got a big green cut with concrete around it, and it's got a flag stick in the middle of it. Their flag sticks are yellow with green trim, the state of Arkansas with a flag on El Dorado, just like Augusta, Georgia, with the flag on it. Yeah. So everything is just like Augusta. It's the same type of grass. It's the same sort of layout.
Really?
Their restaurant and their bar behind the pro shop overlook the 18th green from an elevated second floor of the pro shop.
Yeah.
And so we're planning on having that rented out for all of our players for that event. As the first groups come in, we'll do scoring right behind the green, and everybody go upstairs to eat and get a beer, get a Coke, whatever you want to drink, and stand and look straight down over the top of 18's green and watch everybody else play in.
That's awesome.
So that's going to be great.
Yeah.
That was a treat. It was worth the 4-hour drive for me to go play that a couple weeks ago with Larry. But no, Larry's got a great schedule. We've got that one on our schedule with him, and then we also put the Ridges at Village Creek in Wynne, Arkansas. Yeah. Larry set that one up. I was going to set it up, and Larry beat me to it. And I called him, and I said, man, you took one of my courses off my schedule. And he goes, which one? And I said, Wynne. Yeah. He goes, well, let's just do it together. Yeah. And I said, good. I'm glad you're willing to do that, because I promise you most of my tour will play that event. Those courses are so good.
Oh, yeah. That's it's worth the little ride over there, man. It's kind of in the middle of nowhere, too.
And Wynne's not that far. I drove over to Marion this morning. You know, we've got Cypress View, which is the old Marion Golf and Athletic Club. We've got Cypress View coming up at the end of March. Yeah. I drove over there today to meet with them and to get a scorecard so I can work on making tee boxes and things. Right. And I've never played that course, but looking at it driving in, I'm like, man, this is gorgeous, and there's water everywhere.
Yeah, that darn Cypress Point is a beast, man. There is water freaking in play pretty much on every freaking hole.
Ethan, the pro shop, told me, he goes, water is in play at least one shot all 18 holes.
It is crazy.
He said they tell their guests, make sure you've got 18 golf balls, because you're going to probably need one a hole. Yeah. And if you're not careful, you can definitely get into some trouble there. So I think that's going to be a great treat for our players as well.
I mean, it's a beast too, man.
It is.
I'm telling you, man.
I'm planning on going in the next 2 weeks and playing it one day during the week, just so I can see it. Yeah. But it looked very interesting driving through there.
Don't go on a wind day, because it's gonna be windy. All that water is crazy. Me and my uncle,
a lot like Tunica National. We can never play Tunica National without wind.
Oh no. Me and my uncle decided one day about 3 years ago, we were going to take off work early and go out there, and the temperature said, the weatherman said it's going to get to 50. Well, I don't think it got there. And we was out there, man, and it just was nippy. It was miserable. The sun wasn't out, and we was hoping for the sun, and it never came out. And we were just, I promise you, I probably lost at least 6 balls on that mug, you know. And it was fun though. It was very challenging course, but you got to be striking it. You can't play with it.
Heads up to anybody with the APT that's watching this. Bring plenty of golf balls to Cypress View just to be safe. Yeah.
Yeah, and I played Cypress Point with some guys that I play with quite often, and they always want to play from the bad tee boxes, and I've tried my best to let them, to show them and educate them on the slope and the rating of courses, on how you can determine as what tee box you should be playing. You know, it's more than just yardage, because yardage can tell you one thing, but there's a slope and a rating there to tell you basically what a pro golfer would come out there, or a scratch golfer would come out there and shoot. And that's how you kind of gauge, okay, for me to shoot a decent score, I should play this tee box and not from the tips, or not just play one in front of the tips, because that's what I'm used to doing. You know, I always play the blue tee box just because that's the one next to the black one that's just the tips, you know. That's just not what you always should do.
Those tee boxes are set and those yardages, and so that's what a lot of average golfers don't understand is the sloping rating of a golf course.
Right.
The sloping rating is there to tell you what if you know what your handicap is.
Yep.
This is the tee box you need to play to have the best chance to shoot your best score.
Right.
And so if guys aren't paying attention, so many people want to look at the total yards.
Yeah.
Total yards don't matter.
Because I'm telling you,
I can go play, and I'm not a very long hitter.
Yeah.
But I can go play a 7,500 yard golf course and play it well if everything's downhill where I can hit the ball further.
Yeah.
But if I'm having to play flat or uphill at 75, I have no business playing that distance.
Right.
So you've got to look at that slope and rating,
Yeah.
and that's something that a lot of guys don't do. But that's something I have to take. I've got a spreadsheet on my computer that when I'm setting our tee boxes for our APT events.
Yeah.
I can go in and I can put the yardage from the back tees on every course. And then I get a slope and rating for that tee box at that yardage. And then I can work all of our divisions equally from there to make sure that everybody's got a fair advantage.
Yeah.
So our Division 1 guys, our 0 to 3.4 handicaps, they're going to play 1 yardage. Well, then our Division 1 seniors are going to play from about 200 to 300 yards shorter.
Yeah.
And then that'll be the same tee box that Division 2 and 3 play from.
Yeah.
And then down the line from there.
Right.
And so basically the furthest back we'll play and the furthest forward we'll play should only be about 900 yards difference.
Yeah.
And our Division 4 and 5 seniors will play that shortest distance.
Right.
Our Division 1 will play the long distance.
Right.
And then everybody staggers in between.
Right. And so that's what, to me, evens it out for everybody.
It does.
I like the tour because I like being able to play against guys that I feel like I can compete with them. It's some guys out there I can't compete with because they play better than me right now. But I've only been playing for 8 years and I'm making my way up there. But I shouldn't have to play against a 10 handicapper when I'm closer to being a 15 or 16 handicapper. Right now I'm sitting closer to 19, but I can see my game trending in the right direction, and that's how I'm trying to get, and I feel like any weekend golfer, that's at a pretty decent level can come out and tee it up and see where you finish with the rest.
Our biggest sales pitch as a whole nationally, and I know most all of our chapter owners around the country at this point, our biggest sales pitch is we tell guys, one of the biggest questions we get as owners is, hey, is there a division for me? Our answer to that is pretty standard from everybody. If you can break 100, you can compete on this tour.
Absolutely.
And if you can't break 100, all you need to do is get to the point of breaking 100, and you have a spot on this tour to compete.
Absolutely.
There are events, I have seen it myself, where Division 5 winner may shoot 102.
Yeah.
And that guy is winning money and winning a trophy and whatnot for that event.
Yeah.
And he's winning the points, the maximum amount of points for our Player of the Year race.
Yeah.
And so you look at that and go, well, that guy shot 102 and won. I can do this.
Yeah.
And if you're a guy that consistently goes out and shoots 80 every time you play, there's a spot for you too, because that's going to be a Division 2 guy.
Yeah.
And I have seen, I've done it myself. 3 years ago, I won an event in Division 2 shooting an 84.
Really?
So, I didn't play well, but it was a day that the course kind of beat everybody up, and I was fortunate that I had the lowest score in the division, but I won it with an 84.
Yeah.
So that's what we tell everybody. If you can shoot around 100, you can be competitive on our tour.
Right.
And so, therefore, we are for everybody, from that 0 handicap guy that can break par to the guy that shoots 100.
Right.
Everybody from in between there can compete.
Right.
Hey, what would you tell a guy that's on the fence, that's hesitant about coming on out and giving it a try? Coming on out, tee it up and see where you finish. Playing some competitive golf.
I would tell anybody that's considering to do this, that is just a little bit on the fence and just doesn't know, go to our Facebook page, go to our website, get my email and my phone number, and ask me any question you have. That's what I'm here for. I'm here to answer your text messages, your emails, and when I'm not trying to bathe my kids, I can answer your phone calls. And I'll be more than happy to explain it to you. But the biggest thing I can tell people is, if you're hesitant, we can allow guests to come play 2 of our events as a guest before they have to join the tour. So pick one of these early season events here in March. Obviously, we're sold out this weekend, but we have 2 more events in March on our tour. We've got Tupelo National next weekend, and then we've got Cypress View and Marion the 26th. Pick one of those events and come play it as a guest. Pay your entry fee as a guest. Come play it. See how you like our tour. We'll make sure you get in the right division for how you normally play so that you can be competitive. And come give us a chance and let our tournaments and how we're going to run this speak for itself. I can sit here tonight all night and tell you how great it'll be, but the easiest way for me to convince you is for you to come see it and see that we're doing what we're saying we will do. But, we can let guests play twice. After that, if they still want to continue to play, they would have to join the tour, which I think is just an incredible deal. It's a $125 membership. And with that one membership, you're not just joining Memphis. You're joining Memphis to earn your points for Player of the Year, but you're welcome to go to any of our 40-plus chapters around the United States and Canada and play in any event that any of our chapters host anytime you want to go. You just pay that entry fee and go. And so those points come back to Memphis. So if you go to, like this weekend, I went to Atlanta and I played on AJ's event in Atlanta. And so the points I earned from that will go towards now I'm under the chapter owner's points, but let's say you had gone to Atlanta this weekend. Any points you earned in Atlanta go under your Memphis Player of the Year points.
Right.
So those points come back with you.
Right.
And so, like I said, we have our division Players of the Year races every year where we accrue points every event. And then we also have our National Player of the Year in each division. So you're competing against everybody in the country for the big prize.
Right.
But that would be the biggest thing I would tell guys that are on the fence is come give it a shot once or twice.
Right.
See if it's something that you really like at that point, and I promise you won't be disappointed.
Yeah. What course are you looking forward to playing this year?
What course am I most looking forward to playing this year? Now, are you asking me from our Memphis chapter or nationally?
Nationally. It's crazy.
Nationally, the one event nationally I'm looking the most forward to is going to Branson, Missouri, 4th of July to play Buffalo Ridge and Paynes Valley.
Yeah.
I've played Buffalo a couple times, and like I told you earlier in the show, it is one of my favorite courses. It's a top 5 golf course I've ever played.
Yeah.
But then to also have the final round of that tournament at Tiger's course, Paynes Valley, that is, it's funny. I looked the other day, somebody told me that it's hard to get a tee time there. And I was like, well, it couldn't be that hard. I know it's $300 to play it, but it couldn't be that hard to get a tee time.
Right.
You can't get a tee time right now until September.
Wow.
If you and I wanted to go up there in 2 weeks and play it, we could.
6 months.
6 months out for a tee time.
Wow.
It stays booked up.
Yeah.
Even at that price because it is so spectacular.
Yeah.
And then, they built the 19th hole.
Yeah.
So it's actually a 19-hole golf course. Now, the 19th hole, we will not play it as part of our competition.
Right.
But I can promise you there will be some beer drinking and some gambling going on that hole. It's a 170-yard par 3 to an island green at the base of the rock quarry.
Right.
So you're hitting to a green in the middle of a lake, and right above it is a solid wall of a 150-foot rock quarry.
Right.
And so it's an absolutely, if you haven't seen it, go Google the 19th hole at Paynes Valley and take a look at that. And so there'll be a lot of guys hanging out there for a while that weekend. But from a national standpoint, that's the one I'm most looking forward to. I love going to Nashville every year to play Greystone. I'm going there in May. They're doing their 2-day event at Greystone. It's it's down in a big old rock quarry.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to that. But on our local schedule, obviously TPC Southwind is the number one answer there. But I'm really looking forward to playing Cypress View at the end of March. I've never played there.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to that course. I'm really looking forward to the Ridges at Village Creek. I've never been there, but everything I've ever heard about that facility is that it's top notch.
Yeah.
But then I'm looking forward to Windike, playing the East Course at Windike, which hosted the Monday qualifier, like we said earlier, for the St. Jude. So, there's some hidden gems on the APT. I know our friends in Kentucky and Southern Indiana have NCR, which is a 36-hole one-day event they're doing on a Monday here in a couple. It's actually, I think it's the Monday after our Tunica 2-day.
Okay.
It's a 36-hole one-day event, and it's a very exclusive private 18 or 36-hole course.
Yeah.
And they get it once a year on a Monday, and so I'm still trying to decide if I want to drive to Louisville, Kentucky after we play Tunica for 2 days.
Yeah.
But that's one I've been told I can't miss.
Yeah.
But there's so many.
It is so many.
When you've got 40 to 45 chapters across the United States and Southern Canada, you open yourself to golf courses you would never even dream of playing and see them pop up. And, I tell people all the time, go to amateurplayerstour.com, go to schedules, click either U.S. or Canada, whichever one you want. I always do the U.S. ones. And then there's a drop down that lists every one of our United States chapters, and just pick one that you want to go to and look at their schedule. Go Google the courses, and you're going to see some golf courses that will blow your mind.
Absolutely.
That you may not have ever heard of.
Absolutely.
But then you'll also see a lot of famous PGA. I mean, the Amateur Players Tour played Whistling Straits last year, a month before the Ryder Cup.
Yep.
We're playing San Antonio again this year, right before the Valero.
Bandon Dunes.
We're going to Bandon Dunes for the 4-ball in November.
Yeah.
We're going to Chambers Bay.
Chambers
Labor Day
Bay.
weekend.
Yep.
Like Chambers Bay held, the Ryder Cup a few years ago.
Yeah.
So there's some big time events like we talked about earlier. Our North American Championship last year was held on the Pinehurst Resort.
Yep.
So there's a lot of great golf on this tour, and if you, especially the guys that like to travel a lot and go see new places, there's always somewhere new to go to play golf on this tour.
Absolutely.
Well, Russ, man, I want to thank you, man, for coming on, man. Thank you for coming on and talking about the upcoming season that we have coming up and sharing how you get into the game of golf. I really appreciate you coming, man.
I'm absolutely excited. I know that's the hashtag.
That's the hashtag.
But I am, man. I
am too, and that's why I'm so glad to have you, Arthur. With your podcast, with Burning the Edge here, and being able to come on and talk about our brand, and promote what we do, and then to have you helping me run our events. I'm looking forward to that. We're gonna have an outstanding year, and again, like the hashtag said, I'm absolutely excited.
Absolutely.
And I can tell the way I'm grinning talking about it. It's something that this is. I think this is going to go down as a great year.
Yeah.
And we're just going to try to build on it every year from here on.
I'd like to thank you for listening to the Burn the Edge podcast. Today we had Mr. Russell Cook, the Amateur Players Tour Director for the Memphis Mid-South chapter. Thank you again for listening. As he told you before, you can go to amateurplayerstour.com and you can find out the information about the tour, look at the schedule, and look at all the courses that we are going to all over the country that you have an opportunity to play if you are a member. It's a vast number of courses that are among the top 100 in the country. Courses that you normally would not be able to play unless you were a member or knew a member. Please follow, and subscribe to the podcast. Now we're available on YouTube with video. Go to social media and check us out on Instagram and Facebook. You can follow us there. You can also visit us at our website, burningtheedge.net. You can listen to episodes there. Thank you again for listening.